welcome to Indic Vichar once again. Today I have the privilege of having Mr. Ratan Sharda with me. Sharda ji is a very known figure. He's a scholar. He has written books on RSS and is a regular appearance on national television. He has his own thoughts on RSS, Hinduism, and all this stuff which is we are discussing today. So Ratan ji, welcome to Indic Vichar.
नमस्कार जी, धन्यवाद आपके चैनल पर बुलाने के लिए
and धन्यवाद for giving us time. Ratan ji, I will like to go to the questions directly, and today we are going to discuss the controversy which has been caused by Rahul Gandhi's remarks and Salman Khurshid's new book, which says which has many things, but which has one paragraph which equates ISIS with RSS. So my question is that is Rahul Gandhi trying to create a confusion between Hindus and Hindutvawadis if there is any difference at all? And why Salman Khurshid tried to equate Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh with ISIS?
If I may say so, Salman is just following the lines of Congress for a long time. Somehow abusing and insulting and putting down RSS has been the hobby and passion, or rather a phobia with the Nehru family. It began in 1948, in fact 1947 itself, when Nehru wanted to crush RSS because RSS popularity was hurt, giving him a lot of jealousy fits. And then on, it just went on and on because RSS didn't respond. That was point one. And why it didn't respond? Because it had to recreate its organization, which had suffered heavily, first for working during partition, losing many workers. And then because it got heavily damaged during the ban when a lot of Swayamsevaks suffered. And they had to sacrifice their professions, their businesses, their families, etc., etc. From there on, it's a freefold. Now, why is the biggest reason for this animosity? Simply, it's a worldview of Bharat. I have said it many times. I will say it again. It's a worldview where, from the Western world point of view, which Nehru subscribed to and left also subscribed to, we are a nation born on 15th August 1947. It came into existence because British were kind enough to put India together with railways and blah, blah, blah. And it was their courtesy. And then Mahatma Gandhi, who offered the prime ministership to Nehru, and Nehru Chacha nurtured this nation. And there was no nation before 15th August 1947. You can read any book, you can read any Western historian, you can read our own people, communists. In fact, communists in 1946 in cabinet mission said that this nation is made of 17 different nationalities and should be broken up into 17 nations. It was also called Adhikari doctrine. So that is the background of this lack of faith in, or lack of no belief that we are one nation. While on the other side, RSS represents the viewpoint that we as a culture, as a geocultural entity, have been a nation for eons, at least for documented 6,000 years, which is supposed to be the age of Vedas as of today. We do not know tomorrow. As of today, that's the age of the Vedas, where Vedas talk about Rashtra for at least 72 times, as Ranga Hariji points out. And not only that, it talks about Janapada, it talks about Samiti, it talks about Sabha, those concepts which are totally unknown to the Western world at that time. It was a time when Christianity was not born, when Islam was not born. It was a time when Christianity said, later on Christianity said, Earth is only 4,000 years old. So this basic difference in what we are and what we were, and it is not that just Vedas. You keep on looking at Mahabharata, you go to Ramayana, they describe geographically complete India. You may have different kingdoms, but there is no doubt at all that we are culturally one nation. We are geographically one nation, from Himalaya to Sindhu Sagar, which so many shlokas talk about. Even Chanakya in 4 BC, he talks about Bharat from north to south and gives entire definition. There is a shloka which says that is like a titan bow. So the bow is the Himalayan, the arrow starts from the Kanyakumari. This clarity of geography, this clarity of this Bharat, our Tirtha, our Jyotirlinga, our Kumbh Melas, our Shakti Pit, all this showed a clear-cut cultural unity of this country. Even Shankaracharya, whom we are celebrating now, whom this government, the earlier government simply refused to celebrate, he very clearly formed 4 dhams, 4 mathams across Bharat because it is one Bharat. So this basic clash is between the understanding that are we one country, an ancient country which is a continuous civilization, or we are a country which was born courtesy British. So that is the first starting point that we understand. Now you come to why these people behave like this. So somehow they are stuck with the ideas which are already proven wrong. There is no Aryan invasion. There is no Aryan invasion. There is no Uttar-Dakshin divide. There is no Dravidian Aryan different genetics. All this being known, these stories have been sold because that is how they're living. They are living. Jahan se kamai aati hai, from where they earn money, history, international seminars, this, that, all that. So that is all in danger. So all so-called scholars must oppose any idea that RSS, or not just RSS, every scholar who is rooted in Bharat talks about. I said earlier also that if you look at India from Greenwich time, from British time, where they say there is zero meridian, you will look at India from Western perspective. If you look at India from Ujjain, which is zero meridian as per our Surya Siddhant, as per our 2000-year-old text, then of course you are different, you are Bharat. So this Bharat's view being different, every interpretation will be different. Now, why do they want to prove that RSS is like Boko Haram? On what ground? Has RSS ever wielded guns against women? Has it kidnapped women, raped women like Boko Haram, who don't want women to understand the very meaning of Boko Haram is that education is haram, and especially for women. Today in Afghanistan, what is happening? You talk of ISIS. What is happening to women in Afghanistan, to children in Afghanistan? Not only that, has RSS ever killed somebody because you're a different Hindu? Forget Hindu, you're different from Hindus. No. But in Islam, a Sunni will not allow Shia to live. A Shia in Iran will not allow a Sunni as a proper place. And there are certain sects which are simply not acceptable as Islamic. Who decides that? As I was thinking about it, Allah is one, you say. There is only one Muhammad, they say. Did Muhammad create so many sampradaya or sects within Islam? No. Did he say that only Sunni superior, so Shia and everybody is inferior? No, he did not say. But you find entire Islamic world fighting, killing each other over these issues. And millions have died. More Muslims have died than non-Muslims in this utter mad concept of a particular kind of Muslim is only a right Muslim, everybody else is wrong. So this idea that we are similar to, as the leader of Salman said, I'm not saying same, similar to, but how it is similar? Is there any idea of Hindutva which is similar to Islam or to Muslim Maulvi's interpretation of Islam? As Tariq Fateh says, there is one Allah Islam, there is one Mullah Islam. So you are comparing Mullah's Islam with Hindutva, which is open to everybody, which doesn't use force to convert you. It doesn't say that we are not following a certain book or certain prophet or certain son, you are sinful. We don't say that. We say that you have equal right to live, stay so as an inclusive society, as a pluralist society, as a society which allows everybody, not just allows, respects everybody's way of reaching God. How can they be equated? I cannot understand. Do Hindus say that you must follow a certain story if you don't believe that Allah gave the word to Muhammad and that is how Quran came up? If you don't believe that story, you cannot be Muslim. And it is a blasphemy. You cannot be a Christian if you say that Virgin Mary or perfect concept, immaculation concept is not, conceptualization is not correct, or Virgin Mary story is not correct. You cannot be a Christian. You must believe in those stories to gain liberation or salvation. But in our case, I may believe Ram was a myth. I may believe Krishna was a myth, or he was a history. But if I like Gita, if I have self-realization, I can reach God. I don't need a middleman, whether it's Purohit or priest or anybody. So this basic understanding, if that is missing, we understand these people, so-called educated, intellectual people, are rootless. They are more rooted in England, they are rooted in Bharat.
Right. So I thought what they are trying to say, intellectuals and Congress party in the toe, that Hinduism, Hindutva, even the people who follow Hinduism are not like ISIS, but Hindutvawadis, that is RSS and the neo-Hindus, such as the internet Hindu or right-wingers, whatever they call, and who follow Savarkar, are like ISIS. I mean, that's what they say. These are the people who are trying to submerge other identities.
So what they are trying to do, see what they are trying to do is they are trying to uplift the dirty and the violent image of Boko Haram and ISI and other affiliate organizations which are all same with different flags or different names, all of them. They are trying to cover up the map. They are normalizing their violence. They are normalizing their violence. They are normalizing their behavior, but trying to say they are similar to Hindutva. As I already said, has any Hindutva follower thrown anybody out of this country? Has any Hindutva follower said that you have no right to live here? The Hindutva followers are in government for last 7 years. They were there earlier for 5 years. Did they say that Muslims have lesser rights? Have they said that Muslims don't have privileges? Not just privilege, but they have equal rights, or they should be inferior to anybody else? No. So how can we be equal? Have we put women behind bars or kidnapped because they are not allowed to study? We have not done that. We give equal rights to women. We are the only culture which give due respect to LGBT community. Tell me, does Christianity allow? It's a crime. It's a crime. You can be killed. You can be punished. It is a crime, and for which you can be killed if you are an LGBT in Islamic community. If that is so, how do left support these people? How are they liberal? So how can you equate? When we say you have a right to as you are, आप जैसा चाहे रह सकते हैं, you let it be, जो जैसा रह सकता है. Not only that, do we say that this world is gifted to human beings, to Adam and Hawa, so they can exploit it? No. Our Shanti Mantra says, not just Dvipada, but Chatushpada. The plants, the animals, everybody has a right to peaceful life. इससे enlightening, इससे अच्छा और इससे एलीट और इससे ज्यादा एलीट क्या विचार हो सकता है? मुझे बताइए. ये विचार क्रिश्चियनिटी इस्लाम में अगर मिलता है तो मैं उनको 100 बार हाथ जोड़ के स्वीकार करता हूँ. मुझे बताइए कहाँ पर है. वो अपनी तरह रहना चाहे रहें, और उनसे हमको कंपेयर करना कि आप वैसे ही हो कि आप औरतों को पढ़ने नहीं दोगे, आप औरतों को बेचोगे माले गनीमत बोल के जीतने के बाद उनकी इज्जत लूटोगे, केवल ये नहीं है तो कब से चला रहा है? क्या हमने कभी कहा कि मुगलों ने जी किया इस प्रकार से, जिस तरह से मीना बाजार लगाए, जिस प्रकार से औरतों को बेचा, जिससे बच्चों को मार देते हैं, जो उनके धर्म का उनको मारते हैं, उनको गुलाम बनाते हैं, ऐसे हमने कहा कि ये आज भी होता है? इन्होंने कहा कि जो हुआ वो गलत है. अगर हम देखें कि हिंदुओं ने कितना होलोकॉस्ट किया है, कितने हिंदुओं ने अन्य धर्मियों को मारा है जान से धर्म के कारण. युद्ध अपनी जगह है. क्योंकि आप हिंदू नहीं इसलिए आपको मार दिया जाएगा? लाखों लोगों को मारा. ऐसा कौन सा इतिहास दुनिया का है, मुझे बताइए. लेकिन दुनिया का इतिहास कहता है कि जब से इस्लाम आया, जब से क्रिश्चियनिटी आई है, करोड़ों लोगों को पंथ के नाम पर, धर्म के नाम पर, क्योंकि वो नॉन बिलीवर है, क्या काफिर है, उनकी जान ले ली गई. तो कंपैरिजन कैसा? तो उस हिंदू धर्म के जो तत्व है, एसेंस है, जिसको हिंदुत्व कहते हैं, जो हिंदू है वो उसके तत्व को जानता है, हिंदुत्व को मानता है. वो जो हिंदू पने का, हिंदूनेस का जो तत्व है, दैट एसेंस ऑफ बीइंग हिंदू, that is Hinduness, that is Hindutva. Tva is Tattva. So if that is so, then how can Hindutva be different from Hindus or Hinduism? और इनको क्या समस्या है कि आज इनको स्ट्रॉन्ग हिंदू पसंद है, इसलिए हिंदुत्व पसंद नहीं. What is that thinking? Hindutva is muscular. They criticize you for Ram, the image of Ram which was created in Ram Mandir, who is carrying a bow and arrow, with striking a pose of killing the enemies. They want a feminine god. They want a God who will not say anything. While we have every god, goddesses carrying arms, because dharma can be protected if you are strong. So arms are not carried to kill people. You are not Hindu. Arms are carried to protect yourself. With that feeling, but that is something that puts the fear of God in their mind. So Nehruji said, when I go to South, I get uncomfortable in temples. From the discovery of India में लिखा है. हमको नहीं लगता. हम जाते हैं, हमारे हिंदू जाते हैं मस्जिद के आगे से भी सलाम करते जाते हैं. When they go to church, while passing by the church, we also do this because we see God in everything. So these are the basic issues on which you cannot compare the two. और अगर compare करना चाहते हैं, they want to compare, that means they have not understood Bharat, they have not understood Bharat, or they do not want to, because that will kill the narrative. The day they say that India has an old cultural identity of thousands of years, and that it is alive because that the sap of that particular tree, beautiful tree, the water that gives beautiful this diversity, that is Hindutva, that is Hinduness. And there are so many examples which we can talk about later or not right now, we wish to. And this We don't believe in uniformity. We don't say everybody must wear burqa, everybody must have one kind of pajama or one kind of kurta or topi. We say everybody can celebrate diversity. We celebrate diversity. We don't want uniformity because uniformity is not what nature wanted. If nature wanted uniformity, it would have created uniform people, the same size, same shape, same belief, no animals, no plants, because they are diversity. So this urge to create a uniform society by the West, influenced by Christianity or by Islam, is very antithetical to human behavior.
The word actually was used by Chandranil Basu before that, but it was sorry. We all believe that it was Vinayak Damodar Savarkar who codified the word Hindutva in 1923. So we'll be completing 100 years now. So are you happy that finally we are discussing it in every public domain?
I would be happy if Hindutva is discussed in the right manner. If you say Hindutva is equal to Boko Haram, that is not a discussion. But that brings out the stark reality for the common people who are not involved in this semantics, who don't understand, say, Hinduism, Hindutva being different, except for them. It's very important. These people keep on abusing Hindutva and equate it to Boko Haram and with us and all their children and all their clan, because that will give our Hindus an idea that what we are not. Right. That will strengthen the feeling of Hinduness in our society, because they will understand that we don't kill children, non-believers. We don't say if you are not following my religion, then you are going to go to hell. I am not saying if you don't follow that certain principle, you will end up as in hell. I am not saying a child of sin. I say आप पुण्यात्मा है. तो ये फर्क जब हिंदुओं को पता चलेगा, उनके लिए अच्छा है. बाकी बहस तो निरर्थक है. This entire exercise is fruitless, useless, and because they know this. Otherwise, these people won't be wearing all the, suddenly start wearing those janeus and bhagwas and all, going to temples, etc. Because they realize they cannot keep on abusing the spirit of Hindutva, the spirit of Hindu, of being a tolerant, respectable, respecting every other person, whether they come in India or come out from outside India. And that spirit, if they keep on insulting, then Hindus will not take it anymore. That is the reason they also come up with some makeup and try to say, wo nahi hai. Say this idea of I am that, but I am not that. This reverse kind of neti is something that people realize that where were they for all these years? Why were they saying that Hindu terrorists hote hain, Hindus are terrorists, Hindus are, hateful, Hindus have nothing to offer to the world. So for years, did they put in our education anything about ancient scientific achievements? Did they talk about mathematics? Did they talk about shipbuilding skills? They did talk about architectural wonder. No, we stopped at Agra. Beyond that, there was no India. Beyond Delhi, there was no India. It was all backward, poverty-ridden, useless, Stone Age people. That is how it was described. So for 70 years, we have been kept away from our own science, our own history, our own knowledge. Forget the history where we have to acknowledge that millions of people were killed because they believed they were Hindus. Even if we go that far, at least, you say, "Baba, डर लगता है इतिहास नहीं हमें पढ़ाना लोगों को." People have, the world over, they have gone through history. They have reconciled with whatever happened earlier on, whether it's Protestant, Catholic, whether it's French or British, all they have reconciled their existence, but we don't want to. We want to whitewash, we want to put things under carpet, which will not happen. Because somewhere or the other, our folklore will tell us what is the history. You may keep on hiding our great leaders, our great fighters who fought the invaders for years together continuously, but folklore will keep them alive. That local history doesn't die. It doesn't need your books to tell people. That is why people still remember Kharwel, and they still remember big southern kingdoms, Cholas, and all those people, whether Assam. I may not know about Assam, but Assamese know, and slowly we will come to know. Thanks to internet, we will know that how great Assam was, how great Gujarat kings were, or Rajasthan kings were, or Cholas were. So all these things are known. Pallavas and all those people is known to people. So this denial of our skills, our knowledge, our history is something that has hurt us for years, and that is what is hurting these people now.
Right. So, a couple of last questions. This Punyabhu Putrabhu.
When we are saying, Swamiji, whether they are saying that this Hindutva is different, then Bengal Hindutva is different, Savarkar Hindutva is different. Basically, we are saying essence of being Hindu is Hindutva. There is Hinduness. So it is not a stratified, hard-coded definition.
Correct.
We are not following one book. So what somebody in Bengal said, what Savarkar said, what Dr. Hedgewar said, how it evolved when RSS over the years kept on, making it more and more inclusive, and also keeping the purity and the spirit of Hindutva alive. So we are not bound by any particular person's views. Savarkar and RSS did not see eye to eye on many things. Hindu Mahasabha did not see his views in many things, but they politely worked with each other. Not only that, Savarkar ji later realized that, okay, RSS was doing a good work. He acknowledged that. He invited Guruji to his Abhinav Bharat dissolution meeting. So this shows the strength of Hindutva, that we are able to talk, we are able to do Shastrartha. We don't take our swords and say, Bhaiya, heretic hai, maar dalo. We don't say, Sar dhar se juda. We don't say, Inquisition karna padega. We do Shastrartha, we come to common reconciliation point, or we let others live. None in RSS insulted Savarkar when Savarkar insulted RSS during those days. None, nor did RSS and Savarkar deny RSS. He came to RSS camp himself saying that this is my family. And he said that, okay, what you are doing is wonderful work. This is the beauty of Hindutva. This is the beauty of Hinduness.
Right. Okay. So what I was coming to is that, Savarkar was a kind of, again, not really the first, but someone who wrote at length on the concept of Punyabhu and Putrabhu. So Punyabhu and Pitrabhu saying that this is how we define ourselves. So you still see that concept relevant, or you see that no, that concept cannot be used today? How do you reflect on it?
See, Savarkarji's Hindutva was linked to religion, the way he put it, because when he said it is Punyabhu, that means the only people who worship this land, who worship Tirthas in this land are Hindus. But if you remember, Savarkar in the same book also says that a time will come when we would be able to call every citizen of this Bharat as Hindu, when the bigotry of these religions goes, when bigotry of religion which says I am supreme to your religion, etc. goes, then all of us can be called Hindus. So even he knew that over time this definition will change. So to stick to what is said in the initial part of the book and the later part of the book is actually misunderstanding what he said. We are basically talking of the very characteristics of Hindus, which are not just religious, which are also cultural, where no religion comes into place. Whether it's games, whether it's our festivals, whether it's our so many other cultures of India, whether it's respecting your stage, whether respecting nature, all these things are different games running from Nagaland to Kerala, from Kerala to Gujarat with same rules, same thinking. Concept of Bohni, concept of Runga Junga, all these are typically non-religious, strong cultural traditions of Bharat. So that makes us different. So when you say Savarkarji ne kaha tha, Savarkarji kept it open. We must appreciate that. And because at that time when Savarkar said, it was very important to identify clearly who is a Hindu. At that time, what he said was right. When Dr. Hedgewar never answered the question who is Hindu, he knew that this is a definition which is not really worth fighting for. We know who is a Hindu. Constitution, what did it say about Hindu? Constitution said, one who is not a Muslim, Jew or Parsi is a Hindu. Because Hindu is all pervading. Only those people who are not following certain practices are not called Hindus. But did Savarkar say that those who are not Hindus have no right to stay in this country? No. He said we will have same rules for everybody. No Muslim or no minority will be treated differently. He very clearly said that is a concept of the Hindu Rashtra. So if you go by that, what Savarkar said is still true. What he defined is still true. And over time, as things materialize, they will also evolve. But basically, that our thought process rooted in this Bharat, our culture, our forefathers, our entire tradition and heritage and knowledge rooted to the soil, that is what makes us Hindu. Those who believe in that, they can be called Hindus. Those who believe in Arab lands, they cannot be called Hindus. It is for them to realize that if they want to be Hindu, they have to be rooted in this country. How did Indonesia survive despite being Muslim? Because they said culturally we are Hindus. Right. There are Muslims who Ram Leela. यहाँ करके देखिए. Here if you do Ram Leela, Muslim does a Ram Leela, वो सरदार से अलग हो जाएगा. So the hard Wahhabi style of Islam is not what is suited for Bharat, what Indonesia didn't accept, what Malaysia for long years didn't accept. And when we come to that thinking, everything will be all right.
Sorry. So do you feel that Wahhabi type of Islam is growing, or no, it is not? and it is not meant for India? And if it is, would you like to lay out any plan? How do we counter that?
See, I am no big thinker. I am no big leader who is going to lay out a plan. But see, on one side, you find that these hardcore elements seem to be winning. On the other side, they're alienating a lot of modern Muslims or reformist Muslims. If our Raza Academy and other such so-called great Islamic institutions fight with Saudi Arabia, whom they used to worship for long years, from where they got money, because they opened cinemas, because they opened playgrounds, because they allowed women to drive cars, etc., that means there is something wrong with their own mind. Because for them, for so long, Saudi Arabia was the land of Punya. That was the land of their influence. From where they got money. That is how Wahhabism spread. Now, Saudi Arabia having realized that Wahhabism is enemy of humanity and also enemy of their own state. Salafis for them, Salafis for us, Wahhabi. So they are disowning it. They are slowly distressing themselves. Stop funding these extremist elements. They have also done friendship with Israel. So these Jews, Islams coming together. That's a big move. So these Stone Age people who want to drag the entire society in 7th century, whether they win this particular battle within the community or they will self-destruct, the way they're destructing entire Middle East is in shambles. Millions are dying. There is no Hindutva, there is no RSS there, no VHP there. So you have Yemenis, you have got Syria, you have got Iraq, Iran, killing each other, dying because of their different sects, because of their different thinking, because of their different view of Islam. So either they will self-destruct, like Afghanistan has been laid waste, such a wonderful country, at one time part of our Mahabharata, our Bharat, where everything grew, it was a wealthy place, it is richest in minerals. Today is just laying waste. Total desert, devoid of humanity, devoid of humans, devoid of women, devoid of children's rights. If that is the kind of Islam, naturally it is, before it destroys others, it will destroy itself. It is for Muslim community to realize that they have to come out of the clutches of Maulvis, and only then they can live a happy life. Otherwise, Muslims in India won't be growing so much. They won't be having much better life than even Muslims in Pakistan or Bangladesh. Why those people come to India? Why, despite all this Dharawa Musalman or dispossessed Musalman doesn't go to Pakistan or Bangladesh? Why he still wants to stay in India? Because he knows Maulvi jhoot bol rahe. Because they feel they mostly jhoot bol rahe. And there are some hardcore elements which have been brainwashed. They will go on the streets, throw stones, etc. Those people, whether they destroy the society or destroy themselves, that we have seen what is happening in the Middle East and how Saudi Arabia and various other Middle East countries are changing. These people, if so-called people who are following them, then they need to talk, they need to rethink. And these very people in the debates, when you tell them that Saudi Arabia mein to itna hota hai, Middle East ke andar hum wo log allow nahi karte, there is no other religion is allowed to celebrate their, do their puja or any of their worship openly. They don't have rights to equality for propagation and conversion, etc. People are hanged for converting. Typically, if you look at church, etc. So that is not that. Then they say, no, but we are different. If you are different from Saudi Arabia, like Saudis are changing, Middle East changing, you also change, no? If you are different, then why do you follow their practices? Why do you want the custom of what Saudis did for for Arabian people to wear a burqa, to wear a long dress or uncha pajamas because of the weather there, because of the atmosphere there. Now you want to impose that in India, in Kashmir, because you are following the desert tribal culture. If they are different from you, then please follow Indian culture, which is what people in further Southeast Asia are doing. So this thinking has to come up fast enough before the society is sunk by these Maulvis and mullahs.
Right. One last question, Ranjit. It is about RSS and Hindutva.
We can only own up those Muslims who want to come out of the shell, want to come out of this ghetto mentality. We can support those. We can encourage them. But we cannot really reform the society unless Muslims want to reform. So those who want to reform, they must be supported. They should not be made an outcast. They are being thrown out of their own community, and our community doesn't accept them. So all this rara and the abuse of Muslim Rashtriya Manch, etc., is because I don't know what is the reason. If some Muslims wish to come out of that ghetto mentality, and if there is an organization like MRM trying to do that, then why there is opposition to it, I do not understand. So we must be firm, we must be assertive, we must not dilute our stance. At the same time, we cannot we cannot become like Semitic said that either you are a Hindu or you are a foreign person. We cannot do that. We had to be firm with our identity. We have to be firm with our cultural roots, with our entire thinking. And then those who wish to join us should be welcome to join us.
Last question. RSS and Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, do you see their views converging after he is long gone? Do you see RSS now taking up the path of Vinayak Damodar Savarkar?
No, that is wrong way of putting it. Savarkar inspired RSS in many ways. But as I said, right from 1925, there are many things which RSS didn't agree. If you remember 1920, Hindu Mahasabha took part with Congress in Asahkar Andolan. In 1930, didn't want to, but RSS, the chief Hedgewar and his followers took part in 1930 Satyagraha. In 1942, RSS may not fully, but because of its own limited strength in certain areas, did not take part officially. Neither did Dr. Hedgewar earlier. They resigned. They took part as independents as part of Congress. And in 1942 also, Hindu Mahasabha didn't want to take part anyway in 1942 struggle. Nor did RSS support them in this call for constitution for British Army. So there were certain differences. RSS was supposed to play second fiddle to Hindu Mahasabha. RSS did not. With all politeness, it did what it wanted to do. But despite this, the influence of Savarkar on our thinking cannot be denied, should not be denied. But RSS has its own way of putting that particular agenda on path. It believed more in grassroots creation of organization than in intellectual, war, intellectual battle, and having no organization at the ground. Because basic problem in Hindus was they were disorganized, they were disunited, they were divided on various lines of caste, etc., etc. Savarkarji did try very hard for reforms in Ratnagiri during those days, and he went on following that urge to reform Hindu society. That's what RSS did, and much more quiet in a different way by forming much bigger organization where people by their own volition will get over this sense of division on caste, religion, and regionalism and language, etc. So what Savarkarji offered at theoretical level has been implemented by RSS on the ground level.
Okay.
With little variation how we think. Hindu Mahasabha couldn't do it, right? Hindu Mahasabha, despite totally following Savarkar, could not create an organization, could not create a pan-India movement. So ideas have to be brought to earth, they have to be brought to ground, they have to be created into organization as a translating factor. That translation of idea into action was done by RSS. So there is no difference as such. There are certain differences in the way you go about it. That's what RSS did. There was never a question RSS opposing Savarkar. Never.
Right.
RSS politely, where they did not agree, did its own work in its own way. And Savarkarji realized that, okay, what they're doing is good. What I did was okay. So he invited them. He went to RSS camp, etc. So whatever it is, the issue today is that whoever believes in the Hinduness, the essence of Hindu, being a Hindu, has to work together, whether they fully agree with RSS or not, or Vishnu Parishad or not, or Savarkar or not. But we all agree that culture, the root of this country, lie in our ancient culture, our ancient tradition, religious practices, our dharma. If these are accepted by us, there can be there can be mata bhinata. Why mana bhinata? Why should we abuse each other? Why should we criticize each other? To his own way. I believe that RSS is not doing certain thing. Nobody is stopping from doing something different. RSS people never encouraged me to write letter. They forced me to write books. I decided to write letter because I thought RSS is not being present properly. So I went on writing letter. If I were writing books, they appreciated it. But I didn't seek their guidance to write it. So nobody stops me from doing certain things. Nobody stops you from running a YouTube because you want to spread the word of RSS, other ideas that you have. So every person, when Dr. Ji said, Sangha kuch nahi karega, swayam se sab karega, that was a precise idea. So anybody who believes in Hindutva, believes in Hinduness, who is not a member of RSS, but does wonderful work for Hindu Dharma, is welcome. He may not like the way RSS works. I may not like the way certain people work, but everybody must work. That is Hindu spirit. We cannot kill that spirit. We cannot create a wonderful Hindu society. We start behaving in a way that only my way is right, others are wrong. We don't come from your way, my way or highway. We come from a way, your way or my way, both go to the same common goal.
Great, Ratanji. So nice. Thanks for giving the time again. and I mean, I wish to connect with you every time there is something new comes up and something further discussion. So, I mean, we have been watching your YouTube channel. It is really great. You started your own. And I also told you I keep on watching your other shows also. So thank you so much. And
thank you,
would like to meet you again.
धन्यवाद. नमस्कार.
मित्रों हमें सपोर्ट करें, लाइक करें, शेयर करें.